I am, to begin with, I am not an expert on elections or on political analysis at all. I'm a human rights activist and a feminist, as I've been introduced. So I don't have that very kind of technical analysis of elections, but I will try my best. Uh, I start this looking at elections and looking at democracy in India by since this is a conference, a tribute to Asma Jahangir, by what she says about it. That democracy is not just about elections, it is about the protection of human rights. And if you take that into the Indian context, then it is a huge, huge question mark of where we are. In terms of technicalities, yes, it looks very credible. It's like 970 million people, voters going to the polls, 7-phase elections. We've just finished 2. One was yesterday, of 88 constituencies where people cast their vote. Before that, it was 102. So, uh, all of that is in place, and you find endless reports of the electorate being reached out to the most remotest of places and so on and so forth. So the kind of election machinery, as it were, looks very robust. Many things are happening on that front. But where are we on these elections? We have entered. First of all, let me say that we are talking about elections at a moment of time in the world where the whole concept of democracy, the concept of human rights, the concept of humanity has completely, utterly collapsed with Gaza. With the Gaza genocide, everything has actually collapsed. And we cannot be expecting support from outside, from researchers, from analysis of countries who are complicit in this total breakdown. And what is important for me from the Indian election point of view is the issues that have emerged from Gaza, which are so applicable today to the Indian context. So we find words like dehumanization, colonization, imperialism, land grabs, deep-rooted racism, religious fanaticism, Islamophobia, and so on and so forth. These are all the issues around which this kind of machinery of seemingly very, very robust and efficient electoral machinery of India is going ahead. Besides that, we have, just before the elections in December, we had a parliament session where 143 members of parliament were suspended in one session, which has been unprecedented any time in the history of India, short history of 75 years. After that, we've had a series of events which point to what is the context in which these elections are being held. We've had suspension, we've had the incarceration of the chief minister of Delhi, of the government in Delhi. He is behind bars at this moment, just before the elections. We have had the ED raid so many different political aspirants for the elections. We have had the freezing of the Congress party's assets and resources, in a way tying up their hands before the election. So there has been a lot of stuff which has happened before the elections to really talk about whether this election then eventually is a credible election or not. But most of all, what has been really stunning is the issue of the electoral bonds. This is a very opaque system of funding the elections. And actually, I'm surprised, or maybe it's not a problem in Bangladesh or Pakistan, but for India, the whole game of elections is about the funding. And I see today with Gaza again, so many issues of the so-called democracies of the West are surfacing in a big way. America, with its APAC funding, is no different. So the elections of the so-called democracies that we kind of hail as the biggest democracies is all about money. And India is definitely going the same route. With the electoral bonds, we had to the electoral bonds is something which fortunately the Supreme Court has struck down as unconstitutional and illegal. But the point is, the harm has already been done. It started in 2017. And from 2017 to now, which is 7 years, whatever money had to come into the accounts of the party has come in. In fact, when the Supreme Court asked for the details of this, 800 to 8, I don't even know how to calculate this, 8,251 crores of the 16,518 crores actually goes to the ruling party.